This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All right. No Phillies hat, no Phillies shirt, no.
I always got a red October mug that has a nice place here right on the mantle. So it's subtle. It's subtle. You don't want to overdo it. You don't want to hit people over the head with it. It's just nice. I love it.
It's my favorite. It's my favorite play. Well, I told you the story, right?
No, you didn't.
I'm a born and raised South Floridian, right? I'm a freak.
Yeah.
I didn't grow up with a baseball, a basketball, or hockey team.
Yeah.
My dad was a trucker, and he bought a lot of trucks and made them dump trucks here. So he would buy it would be the cab and then the long ass bed. He would bring it down here. He'd put all the crap together, make it a dump truck, and then he'd ship them down to Panama. Because back in the 70s and in the early 80s, they were building all kinds of banks down there because they were washing everybody's illegal money all over the world.
Okay.
And the 80s were a really fun time. Anyway, so Panama was enjoying the fun times from those. And so my dad was benefiting from all of that. And we would go up a lot to Philadelphia and to Dover for Occupy.
Yeah.
So I was in Philly maybe, 20 to 30 times or something. And so I would go to the Vet. I would go to the Spectrum, all that stuff when I was a kid. So I was a Sixers, Flyers, and Phillies fan.
Wow.
Because I inherited the three teams. Once I got my Marlins, my Heat, and my Panthers, I dropped like a bad habit, and I don't root for them.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But I was a Philly guy. There's a big Dr. J. I got like a 6-foot poster in my studio here of Dr. J skying, because that's my guy. I'm old, bro. That's who I grew up with. So, that kind of stuff.
That's what's up. I didn't know that story. That's what's up.
Yeah. I got a Schmidt jersey and all that.
Okay.
I mean, when I went to Cooperstown, I bought a Mike Schmidt jersey.
Really?
Okay. Because I go, dude, I'm in Cooperstown, and my Marlins aren't in the Hall of Fame yet or anything. Let me get a Mike Schmidt jersey just because I want to say I bought my Mike Schmidt jersey in Cooperstown. So one of those deals. Good luck to your Phillies.
Appreciate that. We will take it. There's been a lot of salty fans I've run into who don't want to give the Phillies luck. But I'm like, come on, man. Like, we're not playing the Marlins anymore. I'd feel like, if you got to choose between two evils, you root for the Phillies over the Braves, right? The Phillies are more lovable. I'd imagine. I don't know. Maybe it's just my fandom coming into it.
Oh, no. What's not lovable is the fans. I think that's what
I think the fans get too much flack, though. Every fan can be a little brutal.
No.
We're just more intense than others. We show up.
Not like, especially the Eagles. The Eagles fans are like the worst. Like, you have to take out life insurance if you go to that stadium. It's just it's not safe. You can't go with another jersey to that stadium. You're just basically just like saying, well, Mom, I'm not returning today. I plan on going to the Vet, and I'm going in a Giants jersey. I'm going in a Dolphins jersey. I remember Pat Surtain. Again, I'm old. And he's telling me at a game, by the way, before he played for the Eagles, he was playing for the Dolphins. Again, I'm old. He's telling us, man, when we were leaving and we're watching outside, there was a Dolphins fan and there were 8 Eagles fans beating him up. I remember Ted telling me that story. Troy Vincent telling me that story, which was just absolutely funny.
That's what's up.
Beaten up. Anyway, all right. So let's have a little fun here. Let's get to it. Talk to me a little bit about this team right now. When you see this win and the slow start, I thought it was human nature.
Yeah.
This week they took some chances they normally don't. Tua trying to thread it into windows he shouldn't have.
Yep.
This week, the slow start, you're down by 14, you get your wake-up call. I kind of feel like human nature with the Dolphins the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is you look as much as Mike McDaniel tells you this game is equal to all the others, you're playing an 0-5 team. And they're favoring you by 14, 15 points. The reality is it's a lot harder to get up for these games at the same level that they're going to get up for Philly next week, right? Or that they get up for Buffalo. And so I think they did start a little slow. Tua said there were some miscommunication issues early in the first drive. And then defensively, I talked to a couple of defensive players in the locker room who simply said the Panthers had a really good early plan. Like one guy told me those were not the same Panthers I watched on tape for the first 15 and 20 plays. So whatever they had going on in the early script, they definitely had a good plan, and the Dolphins adjusted. So that's what you should do. Sometimes you struggle a little bit, but you find a way to win. It happens like this league. There's not a lot of gap between teams. Even the Dolphins and the Panthers, that's a big dramatic gap as in good and bad teams. But even that gap can be small in any one element. We saw today the Browns with their backup quarterback beat the 49ers, who were God's gift to the earth last week, right? So, you don't come to play. You can get beat in the first quarter like the Dolphins did, or you can get beat a whole game like the 49ers did. So that's just the league. And so I don't think there's much to overreact to as far as the first quarter. I think that you got the result that ultimately everybody expected.
Oh, doggy, the overreaction would have been if you would have lost any of these games.
Correct.
I actually told Dolphin fans the best part about the Eagles game coming up is that you're not walking in with dirty laundry.
Right.
Because if you lost to the Giants or you lost to Carolina and then you beat the Eagles, they say, oh, so Dolphins. You lost to the crappy team and then you beat the good team. How can we trust you? So now you're really back to square one. It's what I've been saying the last week, the theme. Dude, every time the Dolphins made the playoffs in 2001, they were good. They were a good team. When they made it with Ricky Williams, they were a good team. When they made it with Jay Ajayi, they were a good team. When they made it with Lamar Smith, they were a good team. When they made it with Ronnie Brown, the Wildcat, they were a good team. Okay, right now you're a good team. Do you want to be great? And so now you failed your first test of greatness. Now it's the next test, okay? These are the you only got a few of those games in your schedule. Can you beat that? And to me, if you go into next week's game with one of these losses, it muddies the water. Now you're back to, okay, now if you beat the Eagles, you're like, okay, you're 1-1 against the Bills and the Eagles. Let's see what happens now with KC and the Bills, coming up. And how do you do against them? I think that's the beauty of all of this, because if you beat the Eagles, you really start to feel good about yourself, because now maybe you're starting to turn that corner that you can consecutively or consistently beat really good teams.
Yeah, I was talking to, and Dolphins fans would be happy to hear this. I was talking to a couple guys in the locker room, and they were already talking about the Eagles. Like, a lot of times you use these first 24 hours, win or loss, digest this game. You don't get into the tape until Monday, Tuesday. No, these guys knew who they're playing next immediately, and they're already ready. There was already talk from the defense dudes. I can't wait to see Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith. And this is one they circle because, one, it's going to be on national TV, Sunday Night Football. They're going to know everybody's watching. And whether fair or not, it changes a little bit. When you know that the world is watching, there's going to be a lot of, is this a battle between the winner of this game? Are they considered the best team in the league right now? Like, I think that's a realistic conversation, especially with San Fran losing. The Eagles are the only undefeated team in the league right now. They're up 14-3, I think, against the Jets. And so if this goes how you expect it to go, they'll go into that game undefeated. And so there'll be the storyline of the lone undefeated, although week 7 is way too early to talk about it, but you know how it is. The lone undefeated team, can they do what the Dolphins 72 team did? That will be the team you'll measure all season. The Dolphins get a chance to quiet that from one respect. But also, if you beat the Eagles, I would say the Dolphins would have a good claim to being the quote-unquote best team in the league after 7 weeks, for whatever that's worth. The Bills have lost a couple of games. 49ers lost to a backup quarterback. And then the Eagles, in that case, would have beaten Philadelphia. Obviously, Kansas City still has an argument, but I'd say you certainly would have a good argument to say that You win that game, you're the best team in the league. And like we talked about with Buffalo, it's another measuring stick. Like I talked to, what's up, princess? Sorry, my baby girl walking in here.
Now the interview's good. Now the interview's good. Now,
absolutely.
Now,
I literally came home from the game, popped into the chair. She hadn't got a lot of time, so she's like, "Daddy, let's go see her." I'm like, "I got to talk one more thing of football, and then you get daddy time after that." But essentially, I was talking to a guy in the locker room, and he was essentially telling me, and I think I told you this after the Giants game. It's hard to feel good as a defense, like super good yet, because we haven't had that true test yet. And another guy told me in the locker room today, like, I can't wait. It's going to be a big measuring stick. So this team treats it as a measuring stick too. And so if you look at this as true, like your top, we did this last week, your top contenders in the league in your measuring stick, they faced one top contender so far, the Bills. You could be iffy on whether or not you include the Chargers in that, but to me, the beneficial team is the Bills, and you're 0-1 in those battles. You face your next big boss, the Eagles, right? That's going to be your second battle. Then you have another one against the Chiefs, and that'll be your third big battle. But these are your big battles. You have to start to win some of these big battles for people to think that you're more than just this red-hot offense. That you're a team that can actually win in the playoffs, because these are the style of teams you're going to see. You're going to see Buffalo. You're going to see Kansas City. You're going to see, if you get far enough, you might see Philly in the Super Bowl. These are teams that are going to be in it at the end. And so I think that you definitely can hype this game up. I won't say if they lose, it's chaos, but I will say if they win, I think it's they are who we thought they are game. And it kind of confirms what I think we're waiting to see. We've seen the wins. We haven't seen that big mega win this year yet, and that would be a big mega win.
Cam, I think I told you, and most of the guys were on with me with Jalen this week. But, of course, little old me, I don't get that kind of play. I don't get that kind of stage or whatever. And I said, because a lot of people are thinking Jalen Ramsey second half of November, early December. And I said, no, I think it's the first 2 weeks in November. Apparently, your colleague, Tom Pelissero, now agrees with me that Jalen Ramsey might be returning a little earlier than expected.
Yeah. I mean, there's been a very much positive reviews on Jalen Ramsey for the last few weeks. And I don't know how much of it was news, because Sam Madison told us this week that, look, yes, it's realistic for Jalen Ramsey to be back on the field in November, which is literally 2 weeks from now, right? And so, you got 2 to 6 week span in November, which December was the initial timetable. And Ramsey told you, I'm going to beat it by a month. And so it looks like he's on track for his marker of beating it by a month. Now, I will tell you this. I'm not sure if he's going to practice this week or not. That, this week or next week is sort of what they're going to battle between. But I do think he was going to have multiple practice weeks to ramp up before you see him getting close to, is he going to be active or not? And so if he is on the practice field this week, I don't want fans to be thinking, oh, he's going to suit up for Philly. That's not happening. He's not going to suit up for Philly. He's probably not going to suit up for the game after that. I think the earliest you can consider him is Kansas City. And even then, I think you probably go on the conservative side of it and say, let's get him through the bye. And then maybe after the bye against the Raiders, which I think is week 11, that's probably the first, to me, realistic, like this is a mark, if everything goes well in practice and rehab, that we could see him going back in the field. I think when you look at it, that Raiders game is November 19th. So that would mark sort of the middle of November-ish in that perspective. So to me, that's a time where you could see, hey, Ramsey could be back, Achane can be back, Teron Armstead could be back, all that same week. Teron Armstead could be back technically for the Kansas City game 2 weeks earlier, but they'll have a decision on whether or not to hold him through the bye as well. And so 3 huge players, they're seeming to get a chance to get back right around or right before Thanksgiving.
What do you know about the injuries? I didn't like the Brooks one because he was wincing in some pain, dude. And when those guys are doing that, sometimes they get hurt and they're, normally tough guys and they kind of just, don't show that much. I was hurting for him, bro.
Yeah, it didn't look great for Brooks. I'm not gonna lie to you. He did not put any pressure on that right leg. It's an ankle injury. I saw a lot of dudes come and give him like love on the cart, which to me, I don't want to say it. It often gives you a worry of this significant injury. And it's tough because the kid was just getting a chance, right? Like he was getting a lot of reps. He was running well. I don't know if people noticed, but this is the second straight week that he was getting more opportunities than Salvin Ahmed. And so I think that he had officially started to pass him, or working to pass him, as far as being that back behind Rheaume and probably behind Jeff, but still working his way up the lineup. And so really good kid. And, we don't have anything official yet, so I don't want to speak anything into existence. But it's one of those situations where you're hoping maybe to be surprised. Probably you're hoping that the news is better than it looked, and that it's something that he can come back for, even if it's not next week.
Tyreek, it seems like it's the normal growing stuff that he gets his he gets his IV and he's all right. But the recurring injuries.
Yeah, so for Tyreek, it's just cramping. He's had cramping issues his whole career, and you think at some point you figure it out, but it's something he's going to have to deal with. He said he had 6 bags of IV today, between pregame, between halftime, between going in before. So this is something that he deals with. He said that even on that run, he said he was worried because he thought his teammates were going to clown him for getting caught again, but he said he couldn't take off on that calf, and so he decided to pull it off. But he wanted to make clear that it was the calf, not him getting caught, that caused him to go out of bounds. And so you're going to have these things with Tyreek. I think it's nothing concerning, like as far as long term. He'll be good to go. He came back in the game. He's fine. He'll be good to go for Philly. But it's going to pop up at sometimes. It's going to scare everyone because everybody's going to be like, wait, what happened? Is this a hamstring? Is this a calf? Is someone going to linger? And more times than not, it has been cramping. As far as Xavier Howard, that's one that's going to be a little bit troublesome because he had the groin injuries last year. And that's something that lingered and affected his play throughout the year. You hope that it's a mild tweak, something that he gets over. But the issue with groins is kind of like hamstrings. Sometimes even if they're mild, they linger. And so we didn't see him or get a chance to talk to him in the locker room. And Mike McDaniel said he didn't have any update there. And so, we'll take a look on Wednesday. If he's at practice, then maybe it was just a little small, tiny tweak and he'll get through it. But if not, then you may start thinking maybe we have to, power through some time without X.
All right, KSDT CPAs, baby. Make sure you give them a ring, 305-670-3370. They've got a new office in Charlotte. All right, so in honor of beating the Panthers, they've opened a new office in Charlotte. They are hiring, and they're also hiring in Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach offices too. So give them a ring. Of course, hey, Cam does his taxes. I do my taxes with KSDT.
I use KSDT for my taxes. Yoandri Delgado is the guy who does my taxes. He's great with it. And so definitely would recommend people are reaching out if they need help as well.
And Yoandri, by the way, is also a crypto expert.
Yeah.
So he
dude.
I know he's not, I know Cam's not a crypto guy, but guess who is? Anyway, 305-770-3370. Cam, we'll talk later on in the week. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. Sounds good.
You got it. There you go. Call our friends at KSDT CPAs.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.